Welcome to episode 6 of Leafs Lab. I am Mike,
I'm Jordan.
and funny enough, I've got a little bit of hope, everyone. It's a weird
Yeah.
feeling. I don't know if I'm confident, but I'm feeling hopeful. I don't know how you're feeling, Jordan.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a ray of sunshine at the end of the rainbow, so to speak, if you want to call it that, coming out these last couple weeks.
Have we spoken since the Berube thing? I don't believe so.
I don't, yeah, this
Like
this would be
offline, yes, but not
hmm
online.
hmm
I think my first thought is we should chat about that because that's where the
Yeah,
hope comes from. Like,
right.
yes, it's a layup, but I think people were dunking on us for potentially keeping Berube. We get to
hmm
celebrate for not. So
Right.
I want to hear your thoughts and then kind of first impressions of what it says that the Leafs did ultimately pretty quickly in retrospect. Like, what, a week?
Yeah.
Just under a week? Get rid of him.
I mean, yeah, if you want to say it was even quicker than that because like obviously they were never going to fire him before Cheka and Sandin had got a chance to meet with Berube. So, I mean, all the reporting was that they met with him for a few hours on, I think it was last Saturday. So, just over a week ago now, and they fired him pretty soon after that. So, I mean, they Cheka moved pretty quickly if you want to give him that respect. But
I think that's valuable. Like, obviously, yes, like
mhm,
pull the curtain back, it's a layup. I
yeah.
think he probably came in knowing he's gone. Like, even if Berube was a better coach, it's possible he's still fired just because it's a
Yeah.
new regime. But
Yeah.
I'm I'm impressed with the like precision of the decision.
Me
It
too. Me
was
too.
this is what we're looking for in a coach. That was like at least or the team that was the press conference. Couple days later, thank you for your service. Good luck. Like that is at least something I can be confident about.
Yeah, and it seems that I don't know if we want to, put too much weight into this decision, but it feels like Cheka is decisive and I don't want to call it ruthless because that makes him look bad, but I would say he makes decisions, and if that's what his philosophy, his data says to go with, then he's not afraid to make those decisions. The same
I
thing with
I
the
agree.
the Doan, letting Doan walk. There was all that talk about how he just let Doan walk. And it's true. Like, I don't think Doan was a very good player after that. I don't even think he played in the league after
He did
Cheka let him
not. He
walk.
did not.
Yeah. So it very much seems that, if Cheka has a decision, he's gonna stick with it. And I respect that.
I think not to like zoom out of hockey, but that's also like a business thing where,
Hmm
look, you're not trying to make bad decisions quickly, but once you have a decision, you make the decision. And look, in business, it's like it could be a good decision, it could be a bad decision, but what's worse than making a bad decision is no decision. And I think,
Yeah.
look, they might hire someone worse than Berube. Is that possible? I don't particularly think so,
Nah.
but I'm willing to be wrong on that. But he was like, as you said, decisive is a very good thing to be in a very
hmm
fast-moving sport.
And I think that's like the biggest difference that I've noticed so far between him and Treliving. Like Treliving just never did anything ever, and that was his biggest fatal flaw.
Yeah,
And that's why we're here today, because he just didn't fire Berube any chance he had the chance to. So that's
I
what it
agree. So
is.
that's that. And I'm a big process guy, obviously,
Hmm
where this year was a bad year for the Leafs. I also think what's worse than the results was the process was flawed. And this at least is indicative of a process that he's willing to be like, okay, we're cutting this, we're cutting this, we're cutting this because of, and it might not work. Like you and I have been pretty honest. It
Yeah.
might not work, but I'd rather watch them try and fail
Yeah,
than do
exactly.
nothing and fail. Like at this point, they're going to need to be decisive. They're going to need to be agile, and they're basically an oil tanker. It's hard to be agile when you're an organization this
Yeah.
big. But what he can control more than anything are these decisions. Roster requires other cooperation from other teams, but this, I'm glad, was quick. I know we talked just before we jumped online about the Elliot Friedman thing. We'll talk about it, but at least now they're interviewing. Like you don't really
hmm
need, you can begin building part of the roster without a coach. Now, you would like a coach soon, but there are just things that, regardless of who the coach is, need to be fixed. So
Yeah.
they can do both now. Interview for coaches and start percolating some ideas here.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like just going back to the reporting around Berube, it was honestly pretty pathetic because like everyone was just saying he would be back. Sorry,
Jared
if you go,
Dreger showing his ass.
yeah,
Holy
like
moly.
if you go back even further, as soon as the season ended, everybody was saying was going to be fired, and like the case to fire him was so overwhelming that I didn't find anybody saying that he deserved to come back. Or, I mean, if they did, then you could just throw their opinion in the garbage because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like they had the largest drop off year over year in the team's history. So he should be gone. The team just essentially quit on him after the
Yep.
Olympic break. Like they couldn't break the puck out cleanly. They couldn't sustain the middle of the ice, pressure through the middle of the ice, or anything in the offensive zone that resembled
Not to be a 200
chemistry.
hockey man,
Hmm.
they also looked like they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Which
they
is,
absolutely did not care
I
about the
know
season
that's not
anymore.
like a very good thing, a good opinion to have because that's very like no, there's no nuance to that. That's just my
Hmm.
opinion based on what I saw. But like I just it didn't seem like they cared. Like even from day dot, like it just like they didn't have what maybe they had last year. Like I don't even know. That just was that's what I saw.
Yeah. And then you had that whole thing with like when he said go ask his players after I think that was after they lost to the Capitals in
Yeah.
November or something like that. So I don't know how you come back from that. Then he had the one thing like a month later when he pointed to his head and his heart and said like I can't give my players this.
It's like
And
that's actually the job, man. Like
yeah, like that's the job. And then it's also like how is that not the last blow in his like tenure as Leafs coach. Like that should have been the time to move on from him.
yeah.
And hindsight is 2020. Maybe they don't get the first overall pick. Maybe they're losing the playoffs in the first round and they're worse off for it. But whatever it is,
Yeah.
like that should have been the
They,
time to let him go.
they also like they handcuff their nuclear weapon. Like they
Hmm.
have one guy on this team. There's a lot of very good players, in my opinion, still on this team. Maybe a lot is a stretch, but they've got very good players. They have one at this point elite difference maker.
Yeah.
Like I love Matthew Nyes. He has not yet proven to be an elite difference maker. Is he a very good difference maker? I would say so. He hasn't proven he's elite yet.
Yeah.
70 points is not elite. Willie, love him to death. We all have eyes. That's not an elite difference maker night to night. He'll have nights where he looks better than Connor McDavid, and then he'll have nights where he looks like me, like that, which you don't want to do. But Austin is your only way to be night in, night out elite. He is so good all over the ice. And he
Yeah.
managed to take what is a strength, which is his defensive zone acumen, and just like that's all he cares about. And take away the
Hmm.
actual value of him, which is the touch of death.
Yeah, and then I can understand it to an extent last year because your centers were Matthews, Tavares, who isn't great defensively, and you don't want him to play those tough minutes, and then you have Max Domi, who is
Yeah.
probably the 3C for most of the season, who you also don't want taking on those tough minutes. So I can understand Matthews getting the matchup center treatment to
Especially
an
with
extent.
Mitch.
Yeah, exactly. To an extent last season, but then you talk about this season when they added Roy, they added Lawton, and they lost Marner.
Lawton's like a
So
trigger word for me. Like every
yeah,
time you say
yeah,
Lawton, I'm like the Winter Soldier from Civil War. Like it's like
yeah.
activating me. Oh my
But
God.
it's like, how do you still continue the same deployment? And I think his number actually went up this season in terms of minutes against elite competition, which alongside Max Domi on the top line, when you have Watt and Lawton, like it doesn't make any sense. I don't know how you square that.
This is the last thing I'll say on I think on Berube because this guy's like long gone, wish you well, goodbye.
Hmm.
Uh, I said it the first episode. What concerns me about him is he doesn't know why the team is good or the team is bad.
Yeah,
And your point is evidence of that is he does not understand what makes the Leafs good. He doesn't understand what makes them bad. And that's why he's got Matthews in shutdown minutes and he's got Lawton on the fourth line. He doesn't understand, in my opinion, what made this Leafs team work or could
yeah,
have made them work.
exactly.
So
And
I'm happy he's gone.
hmm And then just to end, we can end this off on this because I pulled this stat from Jonas Siegel. It was only the last place Vancouver Canucks allowed more goals than the Leafs. and no team allowed more shots than the Leafs. They gave up 2,633 shots, which is 206 more than the second worst team.
That's I gotta be honest, that's actually impressive. Like
I thought it
at
was gonna be
some point,
worse.
like
Yeah.
tip your cap to Berube. That is like a
Yeah.
low key like elite tank job.
Yeah. So honestly, good on him.
Yeah.
Which is why it was like insane. Like I feel like we were being gaslit when all these Toronto insiders were saying, "Oh, he might be back. He might be back."
I found it was mostly from Dreger. Like my understanding from like CJ, from Elliott was things like what I'm hearing is they haven't made a decision. What I'm hearing is they're in
Fair enough.
discussions. And then
Yeah.
from Dreger and like I can't remember who the other guy was.
Think Kipper was saying it also
Yeah.
to an
Kipper
extent.
is like like sometimes he's bang
Yeah.
on and sometimes he is out to lunch. And I don't think it's because he's making things up. Like I've seen that
Hmm.
like I don't think that's true. I just think sometimes your sources are wrong. But
Yeah.
Dreger was the one who's like like I am hearing he's coming back.
Yeah.
And it's
But
like
also but also with Kipper is I find it hard sometimes to differentiate what's his opinion and
yeah.
what's like he's actually reporting. Because like he would say stuff like I'm thinking Berube's coming back or something like that, which is like hard to know if it's like actual reporting or
Yeah.
if it's
I don't
just his
rely on him
feeling.
for reporting. Like, yes, he's been
Yeah.
right. I look, when he's right, he's right. I give him his flowers,
Hmm.
but I will still rely on the big two, which is,
Right.
well, I guess three, Myrtle, CJ, Elliott, of like,
Yeah, they're
they're
definitely
not
the
making
gold
things up.
standard.
It's very infrequently is it their opinion. And when it's like
Hmm.
CJ's opinion, he goes, this is just my opinion. I'm just speculating. And so
Yeah,
does that. Like
yeah. Like
they
he'll
will explicitly say that.
preface it.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I tweeted this, like, I think it was a couple weeks ago, but I was always under the impression that until proven otherwise, I choose to believe he'll be fired. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't see how you can bring this man back. And this was before Chayka and Sundin met with him. So the logic of the events made sense how it unfolded. Like, they met with Berube for a few hours. They fired him a few days later. Like, I think it was Elliot who basically said, after that meeting, it was pretty clear he was going to be fired pretty quickly. So,
Yeah.
like, it just makes sense how it all unfolded. I don't see why people were jumping to these conclusions that he's going to be back before they
And now
even
the
met.
Oilers have permission. Like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
which would be
Like
honestly hilarious. Like, go take that team so McDavid comes to Toronto in a couple
like
years.
I just I can't imagine that actually happens. Like I've got to be honest.
Hmm.
Like I don't think the Oilers are that stupid. Like I don't. I
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
stupid.
The only
I
the only way it happens is if Cassidy's like, nah, fuck that. I'm not coming to Edmonton or something like that. Because he's very clearly their top choice.
I was it Adam Wild who was like, it's very possible Vegas just goes, no, you can go anywhere but Edmonton to
Yeah, I
Cassidy.
think that sounds like something Adam would say. So yeah.
So look, this is the last thing I'll ever say on Berube. That's not true,
Hmm.
but on this pod.
Yeah.
I don't fundamentally think he's incapable of coaching in the NHL. I don't think he is a good coach though. So
Hmm.
there are bad
Yeah.
coaches in the NHL,
Yeah.
and I think he could still he could coach Edmonton, and because they've got two absolute like demons on their roster up top and one on the back end, he might bring them to the playoffs like he did with the Leafs. Edmonton doesn't have the goaltending that the Leafs did 2 years ago. I don't think I think if he takes a team to the playoffs, I would be shocked. That's what I would say. I could
Yeah.
be wrong, but that's what I'll say on that.
Yeah. And I think that, he can't really coach in today's NHL. Like his system is just completely outdated. He feels like a guy that you want, like, if you just need like a 1 or 2 year stopgap solution, he's your
Yeah,
guy because I don't
that's
think he
right.
lasts more than that.
That's right. If the Leafs were in a rebuild, he's the perfect guy because you're
Yeah,
just
exactly.
tanking, you're getting McKenna, and then next year you're drafting top five, and then the next year
Hmm.
you're drafting top five, and then the next year, and then you're like, okay, now we feel like Anaheim or San Jose, time to move off, get a new guy
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
But nevertheless, okay.
Hmm.
I know you mentioned you've got some thoughts on potential replacements.
Yeah.
I will give you my bias up front
Hmm.
is I have thoughts on Woodcroft, and that is the only person I actually have done enough research
Okay.
into to have intricate thoughts on systems.
Hmm.
But I want to hear your wider take on this.
Yeah. I just want to mention one more thing before we get to
Oh
that,
yeah, sorry, hit me.
I think the firing for Berube, and then I can get to some of my candidates, but the firing for Berube, it's a good sign that it seems like Keith Pelley is giving the new front office, the autonomy to make
Great
decisions.
point. Great fucking point.
Yeah, because it seems we everybody knows Pelley was a Berube guy,
Yeah.
but now that he has let the Leafs, Chaka, Sandin fire him, you know, it gives me a bit of hope that he's going to be out of these hockey related decisions moving forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I know that this is nothing to us, but in the NHL in sports, paying a coach $9 million to not coach for you is a thing that ownership takes into account. So it's a good thing that Rogers has shown a willingness to spend some money. That's significant because it was a big talking point was whether they would want to even fire him because of the money. Everyone keeps talking about how Rogers is tightening the purse strings, so it's good to know that they're willing to spend if it makes sense.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And I've got, after the coaching, I'll hit a point that I saw like a tweet come out about
Mhm.
potentially Jacob, but let's do coaching, then we'll go.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously, I think we should start with Bruce Cassidy because he is the biggest coach, the biggest name, probably the best coach in the market. But I'm just going to touch on him quickly because it doesn't really seem like he's coming to the Leafs. So I
Yeah.
don't think it's worthwhile to spend too much time on him.
Agree.
He seems like he's going to the Oilers. If he doesn't go to the Oilers, he's probably going to the LA Kings. If he doesn't go there, I don't know where else he's going. But he's probably going to Edmonton.
Yeah.
Um, just because also Friedman said on 32 Thoughts that he thinks the Leafs will reach out to Bruce Cassidy, but says it's extremely unlikely. Cassidy would be the guy in Toronto. He wouldn't be my guy regardless, just because he wears on players. He's a 3 to 4 year coach, and I'm not really interested in that. I want someone that who can build something sustainable, who can come in and grow with this group. The next John Cooper, the next Rod Brindamore, those types of those types of
God, that
coaches.
would be the fucking dream.
Yeah, exactly. That's who you're looking for. I don't really want a finisher who's kind of what Bruce Cassidy is.
Yeah.
He feels like he's more of a closer.
Feels like Pizza Bor a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like the type of coach who you hire when you believe your team is ready to win the Stanley Cup. And that's the Oilers situation, not really the Leafs. With McKenna probably coming in, they kind of need someone who can develop players, not just maximize their window, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
There you go. Someone who's thinking, I'm going to be with this team for a number of years. So my goal is for them to be good now, but
Hmm.
great in a few years, not
Yeah.
I'm going to squeeze this towel dry for everything it's got in years one and two.
Yeah, exactly. And
Great point.
then,
He's also a retread. Like, I don't know
yeah,
that the stats out there that like people coaches don't win in two different places.
that was what I wrote down. So it's only
Yeah.
3 head coaches in NHL history have ever won a Stanley Cup with the second team. So, I
That's
mean, if
not noise. That's real. That's a
yeah,
real like that means something.
and the only one on the list that I recognized was Scotty Bowman, and I don't think Bruce Cassidy is Scotty frickin' Bowman.
No, that's
Yeah.
probably unlikely.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you use logic and history, the Leafs are more likely to win a cup with a Malhotra or a first timer than they are with Cassidy. Technically.
Listen, I was always skeptical of that stat of like,
Hmm.
oh, retread, and then you're like, no, like that clearly has some value, and
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't understand the intricacies of it. Maybe because it's fucking impossible to win a Stanley Cup. Like
Hmm.
maybe that's the reason.
Maybe, yeah.
And it's just like to do it twice in two different places. May, it's also possible coaching changes quickly, and very few coaches can last.
Yeah,
Like you take
exactly.
Lindy Ruff, who was in Buffalo for all those years, and then a couple stops. Like
Hmm.
it's coaching does change.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm going to agree with you. And the Leafs hopefully have a younger team moving forward. Hopefully,
Yeah, I mean they
having
have
an older coach who's
hmm
willing to just beat guys down, like you had Babcock, and
yeah.
I'm not saying they're the same coach, but I'm just saying that there is a shelf life, and I'm not interested in the shelf life.
Yeah, and like I think the conversation with Cassidy, um, it's a little more complicated than I think people have suggested. Like I was going back to this article from from Jesse Granger, I believe it is. I think he's the Vegas writer for The Athletic. And
Okay.
a lot of what he wrote about Cassidy getting fired, like, isn't a lot of things that you really hear about because he talked about how when Vegas won the cup, they had Alex Petrangelo, they had Zach Whitecloud, they had Nick Hague, and they had Braden McNabb, who was closer to his prime. So they had all these like big defensive defenders who could handle the net
And
front and battle. And
Petrangelo is like people not
yeah,
fucking elite. Like one step below like generational defense. Like he's in
right.
that second tier of like guys.
Yeah, yeah. Like he was such a good defenseman at his peak.
Yeah.
And sorry, but that just sucks that he the way he went out, kind of.
Yeah.
And I
Was it
do
a
feel bad
foot
for him.
issue? What was it? Like hip?
Something like that, yeah. That he
Yeah.
just was never able to like pivot again. But that's how they won the cup was they were so good and so big that they relied on clearing the net front and protect the goalie. Kind of a lot of what Berube preached was clearing the front of the net, making those high danger chances, limit those. So when they started to bring in players like Noah Hannafin, Rasmus Anderson, they're very good defensemen, but they're not the same type of defenseman that they won the cup with. So that's why Cassidy's system kind of started to fail as they move towards a more skilled defense core.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Tortorella, like from everything I've heard about Torts, and obviously I'm not there, is some guys don't like playing for him, but a lot of guys love Torts,
Hmm.
especially for those Columbus guys. Remember like Cam Atkins, like
Yeah,
they
he
love
loved him.
Torts. So
Hmm.
clearly the shelf life is different, where he might wear out his welcome organizationally, but it seems like the guys love playing for him
Hmm.
potentially. And like
Yeah.
besides this like recent thing that happened, like he is a player's coach. Like I think that's like the
Yeah, I think
mistake
so
there
too.
is he
Hmm.
seems like a player. Now, there's probably examples of just things going fucking haywire, like there
Hmm.
always are with coaches. But I think that he might be, I'm not saying his system, but that blend of players coach and also like I'm looking for accountability.
Right.
Like those two things can coexist. I think John Cooper's one of those guys.
Hmm.
Brindamore's one of those guys where it's we expect great things, but I'm also like you're my guys and I will do whatever it takes.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what you kind of need. Like you can't be complete hard ass or you can't be
Yeah.
complete player's coach. Like you gotta find a way to balance the
Yeah.
two. Otherwise you'll be a pushover or people will hate you. So you
Yeah.
gotta find a way to mix those kind of two philosophies.
Can I guess who you're going to talk about next?
So before I just want to lay the ground of what Friedman kind of thinks about the Leafs coach moving forward,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
tell me.
just because I feel like we should step back and take a kind of lay the land a bit. So he says that Toronto wants to talk to Manny Malhotra, and I don't know if you caught this, but on some level, apparently Manny Malhotra's name came up, maybe just on a cursory level, but his name came up in some of the Leafs GM searching talks.
Interesting.
So apparently a couple of the GM candidates were saying if I could make a coaching change, what type of coach would you want to bring in? And they kind of mentioned that it was Manny Malhotra was the name that kind of came up. So
He's with
that's
Abbotsford, right? Am I
yeah, so
crazy?
he's their AHL coach. And that I can get to in a second. But then on Friday, so this was on Thursday. On Friday, Friedman was saying how the Leafs are prepared to go fresh. They want someone new, someone different. Malhotra is a very legitimate candidate. Woodcroft is potentially a candidate. Um, there was news this morning. I don't know if you caught it. Oh yeah, you said you caught it. But the Leafs had already caught or already spoken to David Carl.
Now that gets my spidey senses tingling.
Yeah. So I honestly I'd have to do more research into
Yeah,
him
I have no idea.
because I do know that they're such a dominant team. The University of Denver, I think he's at. But I am nervous. I have to admit, I am nervous about bringing someone into the Leafs that has never worked in the NHL or the AHL. Like he's never worked in pro hockey. If
I
that makes
agree.
it. Yeah.
No, I 100% agree.
Like Woodcroft has been a coach before and he's been an assistant for a long time. Malhotra was an assistant for a long time in the NHL, and now he's been a head coach in the AHL. Like David Carl, he's kind of lower on my list just because he's never been in professional hockey before. So if he's the guy, I would have to do more research into him. But I like this point that Freeman said because he heard last week that the word was build. That's what he's hearing. Sundin and Cheka are going to build this new era, and they want to find a coach who can build with them. And that is what I like to hear because that's what they do need. This guy to grow with the next era of the team.
100%. Listen, I'm a regular man. I get caught up in the hype, and I just know, looking at what the Oilers were before the beginning of the season when
Hmm.
Woodcroft hired them. I mean, was fired by them, excuse me, as well as what he looked like on the bench for, I guess, round one against the Oilers. Now, the problem with the Oilers is this year they were bad. So the Ducks looked great against them, but
Yeah.
they actually didn't look terrible against the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
What let them down, which I said from the beginning of the fucking playoffs, and everyone did, like this is not profound, is they're bad defensively.
Yeah.
They don't have good enough
Yeah.
defensemen. Like people can say, oh, Trouba this. Like sometimes like I'll hear someone say, oh, Trouba played great. And it's like you actually watch him and you're like, I don't think that's true.
He's just
Like
big.
he's big and he has a few nice plays, but turnovers, like it just he's playing a ton of minutes. Jackson Lacombe, for how good he is, and he is great. There was moments where he looked overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
they were bad defensively, but on the offensive side of the puck, they controlled a lot of possession. They were fast. Now the Leafs are not the Ducks. They're just not. They don't have the young guys, but
Hmm.
that is interesting to me. Woodcroft, I think when he got fired, he changed the scheme, right? It was
Yeah.
they
So,
went from man to zone.
right. So I had a lot of stuff on him.
No, they went from zone to man. They
Mhm.
went from zone to man. That's what fucked them up because you had Darnell
I have
Nurse
it here.
trying to track guys.
No,
Want me to
I forgot what it was. But yeah, it's either zone to man or man to zone. One of them.
I think it was zone to man. And the problem with man is you need elite defensive players because
Yeah.
the second you know who plays man zone defense? Beer league hockey because everyone's just like with their guy. And the problem with man is it takes one breakdown
Hmm.
and all of a sudden
You're
you're in
done.
a lot of trouble. The advantage of man is obviously you can force mistakes.
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
very good at man zone D is Mitch Marner. Like, not to bring up
Hmm.
that guy again, but he is so good defensively and quick that he forced a lot of turnovers. Do you know who's not good? Basically everyone else. That's when
Yeah.
most teams would
Hmm.
play a version of zone. A version.
Hmm.
Sometimes you switch to man, but a version of zone.
Yeah.
I like Woodcroft. I
So
really
I do
do.
too. I actually really like him. I honestly, I cannot decide who I'd rather have, Woodcroft or Malhotra, just because I like both of them. I really, really do. The only thing is I'm getting worried that they're kind of the Mike Gillis of the coaching search, and then I'm gonna hook myself into one of these guys, and then he's like not gonna get the job, and then I'm gonna be disappointed. So I'm trying to not, hold my
Yeah.
stick to one of them.
I think this is where we're going to differ a bit. At the beginning of the podcast when we started, I basically said one of the topics was 50-50. Like it's both coaching and it's the GM.
Hmm.
I am now more confident in the management, maybe as a fool, like foolishly, that if it's any of those two options, maybe some secret third option, I'd be relatively comfortable,
Yeah, I think so too.
barring the good decision making from Chika,
Hmm. Hmm.
where I think both Malhotra and Woodcroft are upgrades.
Yeah, 100%.
To what level, I actually don't know. Like Malhotra as an AHL coach has clearly had some success, and then I think they had a poor season this season. He was the assistant coach with the Leafs. I don't remember like in great detail like the effect he
I
had.
just remember their power play was so bad.
Yeah.
That
So
one season was awful.
and like, fuck, yeah,
Their
God,
power play is bad all the time, so who
yeah,
cares?
it's aggravating. They
Yeah.
need a better defenseman back there. That's a different
Yeah,
discussion. You're gonna get me fired up.
yeah.
So I think I'm leaning Woodcroft simply
Hmm.
because he's got some NHL head coaching experience. He
Hmm.
seemingly has learned how to manage some nuclear weapons, which he
Right,
had in
right.
Edmonton. And the reason I say that is hockey is a weak link sport.
Hmm.
That's just how it is. The best player does not make you the best team. But if you look at the teams in the playoffs now, and you particularly look at the one series going on, and in addition, you look at Vegas and Colorado,
Yeah.
those teams are driven by their nuclear weapons. Now, they've got a very high floor because they don't have a lot of bums. They don't have a lot of Cal Yarncrocs on their team. But like you look at Montreal, it's like they're going as far as Hudson and Suzuki will take them.
Hmm.
Suzuki might be my
Yeah.
favorite player in the playoffs. I fucking love Nick Suzuki. I've
He's
loved him
so good. Yeah.
since he went center at the Olympics. Like so good. Colorado, obviously, you've got Kale McCarr and Nate. Just no joke. I think I tweeted this. He's my favorite player to watch. That's one level below superstar.
Yeah, honestly, like I fully respect the Avs for making the trade because I think Nietzsche just fits
Way
so
better
much
than
better
Anthony.
into what how McKinnon plays
Yeah,
just because they're so fast. They're so fucking fast.
They are the Thanos meme. Like I am inevitable. Like they are
Yeah.
just inevitable going downhill. It's crazy.
Hmm.
And like even with Vegas, like they
What
are
is his
going.
contract?
They're go. I think he's up this year. No.
I think he re-signed, but I'm curious to know
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right.
where's
And
Colorado?
Vegas will go as far, like Mariners having a great playoffs, obviously. They'll go as far as I believe Jack Eichel will take them. Like that's
Yeah.
so that's what I think. I'm it's like it's such a
Oh my
black
God, it
box
makes 11 and a half. Wow.
for how long?
I think it was 8 years. I closed it. Shit.
How did I miss this? It's very unlike me.
Let me see.
Nevertheless, that is my Woodcroft kind of bias. I
Hmm.
wouldn't be surprised if they don't have a coach for the next 3 weeks. Like I would not
Yeah, it really seems like they want to take this. It was 8 years. When was it signed?
must have been off season because it
October
was
30th, the
yeah.
first month of the season.
Mm.
So it's in season. Wow.
Listen, great signing, and
Yeah.
Kale McCarr has a contract coming up, but you win the cup, like it doesn't really matter what you're paying those guys. Like,
Yeah,
truthfully,
exactly.
2 cups in 5 years, like you can pay him and never win a cup for the rest of the contract, and it's worth it. Like
Hmm.
that's the deal with it. Funny enough, like Nature's is Landeskog's good, Kadri's amazing. What like they are so deep down the middle. They're playing with 4 defensemen basically. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly.
So that's kind of my coaching thoughts. I think that's a good spot. I don't know what else you have. Hit me with what else you got.
Yeah, so I think Woodcroft is very interesting because he's clearly an offensive savant. Like this guy knows how to fucking coach some offense. So I think that is good when you have all these superstars, Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, Nyes, probably McKenna as well. So they're gonna need someone that knows how to coach an offense. But what I like with Woodcroft is he's a process guy because he started as a video coach in the NHL with Detroit. I think it was in 2005. So it's like over 20 years ago. So he started in the NHL in that era as a video coach. So this guy knows process. And he also spent seven seasons as an assistant coach in San Jose from '08 to '15, which included I believe it was two Western Conference Finals appearances.
I
So
didn't even
he's
know that.
yeah,
Okay.
so he actually moved from Detroit with Todd McClellan when Todd McClellan became head coach in San Jose.
That's
That's
right.
how he went.
Okay.
And then when Todd McClellan became the head coach of the Oilers, he went to the Oilers as well. That's how he started in Edmonton. So he's kind of followed
Okay.
Todd a lot over the last couple of years. And I had the stat a couple weeks ago when he talked about it. But in his 11 seasons, Jay Woodcroft's 11 seasons as an NHL assistant coach, he's helped guide his teams to 7 top 5 power play finishes. They finished in the top 5 7 times in 11 seasons. So now
Yeah, they got to do it.
yeah, so now Anaheim was not part of that group this season, but they did have a 31.5% power play in the playoffs, which was second in the league. Like their power play was
Yeah.
humming.
And they ran into Mark Stone and Mitch Marner, which slowed their power
Yeah,
play down, but that will stop most good power plays. So like,
exactly. And then so when he
yeah,
became head coach of the Bakersfield Condors, which is when he first became head coach in professional hockey, he led them to 105, 71, and 21 record over 4 seasons. Then he was hired by Edmonton Oilers in the middle of the 21-22 season. The Oilers went on a 26-9-3 run to close the season, advancing to the Western Conference Final. The following season, Edmonton finished second in the Western Conference with 109 points. But as you said before, things began to unravel when he implemented a new neutral and defensive zone structure that was modeled after how they won the cup the previous
Yeah.
season. So it makes sense that he would try and model, after the team that just won, which makes sense. So, but they stumbled to a 3-9-1 start, which costed him his job. But what I found when I was looking into him was during that stretch, they had an 889 save percentage. So their goalies could not stop a beach ball.
You got me in that there,
Yeah,
fucking.
exactly. So the struggles weren't entirely on Woodcroft because they couldn't get a save. They were 31st in 5v5 shooting percentage at 6.5%. So they could not score or get a save. And McDavid and Ekholm were injured to start that season. So they were playing through injuries, like two of their most important players. So when you talk about a recipe for disaster, that's like a perfect blend of something that's going to cost you your job.
I think that,
Yeah.
listen, the question is, and I think this is important. You may disagree. I know I was speaking to people yesterday, some buddies, and they disagree with this. So I'll
Hmm.
start with that. I don't think it's the worst idea to speak to Matthews and say,
Yeah.
and even Willie and even Nyes. Now, I wouldn't say Nyes. Nyes is a young guy, and I'm not trying to be rude to him. He might not be like a hockey savant because he's only been in the NHL for
Hmm.
3 years, basically. But those two guys might say, this is what works. Like I am a big proponent of the best guys in the league, no ball. Like they
Yeah.
just know it.
They have
I'm
to.
not
They
saying they
have
should
to.
make your
Hmm.
decisions, but they might Austin might say, hey man, in regards to like personnel decision, these are my thoughts.
Hmm.
But day-to-day coaching, these are my thoughts. And I think you say, hey, do you vibe with a Woodcroft kind of set? Like, what's now you don't make your
Yeah.
decision based on what your players say 100%, but if it's a 50-50 and Austin says, hey, I know David Carl, or I know this guy, or I know this guy, and I like that should mean something. I'm not
Hmm.
saying it's the determining
Yeah.
factor, but as I keep coming back to, he is your difference maker. You are only going, this rebuild or retool is only going to go as well as he goes. If his ceiling, his new ceiling is 40 goals, that is a problem.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, it
that
is.
changes what you're doing. If he's back to 50 goals and 90 points, as well as being a defensive center,
Hmm.
and Willie is in his now new normal is 40, 45 goals, 80, 90 points. You're smiling. Is something wrong?
Yeah, no, this is a hilarious tweet from Ryan Rishog. I think you're gonna love this.
Tell
Guess
me.
hearing a formal interview with
Greg Berube.
Berube
Oh my God.
is expected after some initial conversation between he and Bowman. Permission to speak with Bruce Cassidy had still not been granted as of Sunday night.
I'm not even religious. Please, God. Like,
Yeah,
please. Okay, so
that is
that's my
hilarious.
they'd be an idiot to do it. Welcome McDavid to the team.
I hope they
Uh
don't watch a single of Blues hockey from last season.
yeah, that'd be, I mean, they probably don't. Who
Hmm.
would? We did and we shouldn't have, to be
Yeah.
honest. So that's my thought on the
Hmm.
coaching. I'm happy on coaching. Got anything else? Because I kind of have a new direction after we're done coaching I want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to touch one last point on Woodcroft, and then I have
Yeah,
a couple things on Malhotra as well
hit
because I
me.
think it's important. But in terms of his hockey philosophy, he really emphasizes pace, puck possession, structured, connected play,
About time.
which I love that. And I like that he leans on both video and data to guide sort of decisions because that's his background. He's rooted in video coaching and he's widely regarded as a player's first coach, prioritizes communication, transparency, and development. And I like that because he was an AHL coach, he knows how to sort of develop players. And when you got this new wave of players coming in with McKenna, Nyes is still young, Cowan is obviously young. You have Danford hopefully coming soon. You kind of need
This
someone.
Holinka kid, the I think
Yeah.
the kid born in Czechia, and then the what's the guy from Norway, who just scored at the World Juniors. I mean, at the World Championships.
Oh, Tynes Luke
Yeah,
Klobar.
I think they've
Yeah,
got some guys, like
they
even
do have
Quillen. Like they've
guys.
got guys in the AHL
Yeah.
who can give you bottom 6 minutes. Sorry,
Who's,
continue.
oh my God, who's the Czech guy? Alan Walsh
Is it
client.
is it Halinka? Am I making it
No,
wrong?
that is another guy, but I think there's someone else I'm thinking of.
But
Anyways,
whatever. It's contained. Nevertheless, I'll
yeah.
figure it out.
So, and this was also interesting. I was reading an article about after he was fired, and he noted that after he was let go by the Oilers, he spent time traveling the world, visiting coaching staffs across Europe and studying their trends. And then he came back to North America and started studying league-wide trends during the playoffs that year. So I think that speaks to his curiosity and his growth mindset, which I like.
Growth
And
mindset. That's a good one.
that's what we need. We need some of that. And I think it shows that he's highly analytical, but has shown a willingness to adapt.
Miroslav Holinka.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Okay. And then last 2 points, and then I'll finish off with Woodcroft. His career 643 points percentage ranks 12th all time and would trail only Rod Brindamore among active coaches. So this guy knows how to fucking win.
Yeah.
And let me end with this. In his one full season, he coached one full season as Oilers coach.
That's crazy.
Listen to these stat lines. McDavid, 64 goals, 153 points. Leon Draisaitl, 52 goals, 128 points. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 37 goals, 104 points.
Damn. Fucking
Yeah,
huge.
104 points. Zach Hyman, 36 goals, 83 points. The
Bum.
Oilers led the league with 3.96 goals per game, almost four
Fuck.
goals per game. Their 325 goals were the second most in the analytics era which is since 2007, 2008. And that season, the Oilers also famously set an NHL record with the highest the highest power play percentage in a single season at 32.4%. So this guy
That's
knows how
crazy.
to fucking coach an offense.
And I think that's what they're not going to be able to revamp their team to the point where they're going to be able to add elite defensive acumen or
Hmm.
defensemen. It's much more likely they supplement the D, help the forwards quite a bit. So lean on the offense. Like there is
Yeah.
evidence you can lean on the offense. All these teams in the finals, they're all good defensively because they have the puck. Their
Yeah.
expected goals are
Mhm.
high because they're good offensively. But I wouldn't call like any of these teams. I mean, Vegas is a very good defensive team, but if you watch them, like against faster teams, they struggle. Like their offense is what wins. I know people say defense wins championships. You got to let in 2 goals a game, basically
Hmm.
two to two and
Yeah.
a half, but you got to score
Yeah.
three.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, Woodcroft, if I think
I'm
there's
sold, brother.
competition
I'm
for him.
sold.
I'm so sold on Woodcroft, and I think I was reading a lot of Oilers stuff from over the weekend, just seeing, their reaction to the Knobloch firing and stuff like that. And so many of them were like, "Please bring Woodcroft back." Like they were like, "Please bring him back." I'm like, "Fuck you
Knobloch was a
guys, he's
weird
coming in
hire.
here."
He was
Yeah,
a
I don't
weird
know,
hire.
because that was McDavid driven. I mean, no one wants to admit it, but McDavid driven. He was
Yeah, and like
McDavid's
two
future
finals,
coach.
like it's
Yeah,
hard to complain. Like two
yeah,
finals and a
exactly.
playoff. He wasn't a bad coach, clearly,
Hmm.
but
Exactly.
nevertheless. Okay, give me your thoughts on Malhotra.
So Malhotra is interesting because I like his sort of mindset because he was obviously the reigning Calder Cup winning coach and he played nearly 1,000 games in the NHL, but he topped out as, that high-end third line center.
Yeah.
And that role he filled like ridiculously well on a team that went to game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. And so when I was looking into him, I found this sort of article about him and it talked about how in 2008, 2009, he was on Columbus, and his coach was Ken Hitchcock, a legendary famous coach. And so he sort of credits Hitchcock for getting him to embrace that 3C role because Hitchcock had presented to him a choice. And it was you can either chase a top six role, a modest top six role, and be a kind of out of your depths low end 2C, or you can carve out a niche as a shutdown third line center, do all of the dirty things that are unglamorous, and be that type of team first mentality player. And that's what Malhotra chose. He chose that lateral role and never looked back. So I love that mentality that comes from him. And he also
Without
spent,
looking, what was his highest season point total?
I
Like
think I actually remember this from when I would looked into it. I think it was like 15 goals and 36 points or something like
you're
that.
very close. His highest ever season point total. Total points, 35.
Damn, I was one off.
That season he had 11 goals, but the following season he had 33 points with 14 goals.
Oh,
That's
it's
just
close.
it's 1,000 games. Like, man, sorry,
Yeah.
continue. That's just like a fun
So that's
little
why, like,
wrinkle.
I just love his mentality, and I think he can relate to, the everyman sort of player because he was not a star, and he'll treat the, bottom six guys like they matter way more than I think Berube ever did. And so his sort of role in the NHL was largely focused on pre-scouting and player development, which I think is very important for this next era of the Leafs is going. And then you talk about his season with the Vancouver last season. He coached them to a 44 and 24 and 4 record, which is fifth best in the league. And they lost a ton of players to NHL call-ups, to injuries, things like that. And they captured the Calder Cup last season, though. So I think that kind of leads to his skill set as a coach. And he plays a lot of structured team first style. He's very accountable and he loves puck possession, things we love in this space. And what's interesting with him is he's described as always coaching. He's sort of an in-game adjustment specialist who remains hands-on and proactive, always coaching in-game scenarios. He's relentlessly detail oriented, constantly reviewing video, breaking down plays, walking players through in-game scenarios. And he kind of represents the exact kind of hire teams are turning to. He's smart, detail oriented, and well balanced in both experience and modern thinking. So I kind of really like Malhotra, if anything, just because of his mentality he brings to the role, if that makes
And
sense.
there's something to be said for like I don't know if I believe this. I don't, but I know my brother believes this, and he was obviously a quite competitive hockey player where the idea of like being a former guy, like
Hmm.
being a former NHLer, being a guy who like wasn't a star, but playing 1,000 games, like that matters in a way I obviously could not understand because I never played competitive hockey like that level. So maybe that makes a difference for these guys, like having a guy who has been there in those high leverage moments, knows what it's like. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and I think it's not everything because I don't think just being a former player makes you qualified as a coach. Berube,
No, it
for
does for sure.
example. Yeah, so but I do think it does help in certain situations, and this is the type of player that I think could succeed as a coach because of how he played.
Yeah. Look, I'm
Hmm.
happy with either of them. Even David Carr, like I don't think I want a college guy. Like I really don't think that's what I want.
Hmm.
But those two guys, like I would be happy with either. I my bias is Woodcroft just because I've seen it.
Yeah, like we know there's proof of concept that he can coach
But
in
I
the
wonder with
NHL.
Chayka. Like Chayka seems to be right now looking at everyone, which is probably a good thing, and he's at least getting ideas, and he might be hearing 10 different visions of what this team looks like.
Hmm.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter if he doesn't make this team better. And I
Yeah.
think that goes hand in hand with, I think it was Kipper, or no, who said it? Maybe it was Kipper, where like the quote was some variation of, I'm hearing things he's already like trying to fiddle, like things are going to start happening. Do you know, like, I don't know what the quote
Oh, I
was.
think that was I can pull it up because I probably tweeted it out.
Yeah, like some
Um,
variation of just like things are going to start happening. Don't be surprised if things like he's already trying to
oh
get his
yeah, so
fingerprints on it.
that was on Friday from Kipper on board. And he said, I do get a sense though for John Chayka, he is just warming up to get his fingerprints all over this, and it's not going to be a kind of quiet intro into next season. I think he's going to start swinging pretty soon here.
Okay, that I love.
Hmm. Yep.
I love, and it can start small. Like truthfully, I don't care if the first thing is like This is what we're doing. It's in
Robertson for like a
2020.
draft pick. Who
Yeah,
cares?
it's just like
Hmm.
just something because that is what is going to be required. And
Yeah.
the news on Matthews has also kind of changed where it's like, well, he was never actually going to leave. It was more just putting pressure on management.
Yeah. I
It's
wonder if
like,
like
oh,
they're
okay, so you're a mouthpiece, like fucking
right.
mouthpiece, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that inspires some confidence in me because ultimately they're going to need changes. You're not going to,
Hmm.
the only place you don't need changes in regards to an addition is basically the top end of your lineup and your goaltending.
Yeah.
Matthews, Nyes, Willie, the first overall draft pick, Stenberg or McKenna. You're not really changing that.
Hmm.
Now, one level down, 2C, maybe a three-line winger, some defenseman that you're not going to change Tanev and McCabe, most likely. You're not getting top pair D this offseason. You're just not, unless something with Nyes happens, which we can talk about, which I
Yeah.
wouldn't do. But you're adding maybe two second pair guys or
Hmm.
a low end top pair. Like
Yeah.
you're going to need to make six roster changes, basically. You're going to have
A
a six.
ton. A ton of
That's a
move. Yeah.
fuck ton. A fuck ton. Now,
Yeah.
not all of them have to be trades. You might say Jacob Killen, whatever the fuck. Bo Grew. Bo Grew is our fourth line center. Steven Lorenz, you're going to be the 13th forward.
Hmm. Yeah.
Bo Grew is in. Jacob Quillen's in. Insert guy is in. Ben Danford, you are a seventh defenseman. Everyone else, like that
Yeah.
might be one of the
Yeah.
additions. I don't know if
Yeah.
Danford's not ready, obviously. He just
Yeah.
finished in the
Hmm.
OHL. That's a too big of a jump. But I would not be surprised if he plays 10, 15 games this year.
I think he deserves a look. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
like
by all accounts, is like I think he would be fine. Maybe not. He could be a third pair right defenseman because all he does is just play, that big, heavy sort of defensive PK guy, and I think that is more easy to translate to the NHL than it is for someone like Cowan who plays a more
yeah,
skilled game and needs to work out some junior habits in the AHL.
100%. And sometimes, like, look at Tampa. Sometimes you have guys who are above their station and they have got to
Hmm.
figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
look at those Pens teams from the mid like teens years, where it's like where the acting the fool tweet, like Mark
Yeah.
Donk and Buzz Flibbit, like
Exactly.
that greatest tweet of all time
Yeah.
potentially. It's just you need to sometimes have guys playing above their station in
Hmm.
order to fill out the rest of the roster. You've got Cowan on an ELC, Nyes on a deal, Tavares on a deal. McKenna or Stenberg on an ELC. Danford, presumably if he plays, ELC. You have got a few ELCs here. This is the point where you put those guys in. First of all, like this is a different discussion. I hate the idea that you don't want to burn a year. Yes, you do. Because when you negotiate this,
Hmm.
you want them to have less good years. Sign them long term.
Yeah.
So instead of like waiting a few years, their first year of their ELC, they've put up 60 points. It's like, no, like you want Danford to struggle in quotation marks. You want that learning curve. With Cowan,
Hmm.
you don't want him putting up in his first year 80 points. So he put up what he put 35 points this year.
Something like that. Yeah.
Next year, this year, maybe 50. Then you negotiate. Great.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
negotiating from a point of, and
Before
then
they break out.
hopefully he takes
Hmm.
off.
Yeah.
Nyes was like an example of you burn it with that Florida. Nevertheless, that's a different discussion.
Hmm.
I'm kind of off topic here, as you can tell. I've got a lot of thoughts here. So that's what I would do if I'm Chaka. It's like you promote these guys not because you think Ben Danford is the best option, maybe as your sixth or seventh D on the market. You could probably find someone, Simon Benoit, but a right-handed guy, better than Danford, but you'd have to pay him 1.5.
Yeah. No, that's
How much
fair.
better is he than Danford making 800?
And how much better is it for Danford's long-term development?
Thank you. Does it
Hmm.
make that big of a difference on the
Hmm.
team? No, probably not. Like,
Yeah.
probably not. Philly Myers versus Ben Danford, I know who I want.
Hmm. Philly,
Henry
or
Thun,
sorry,
like,
Denford
yeah,
versus Simon Benoit.
yeah, truthfully, like Henry
Hmm.
Thun, I don't think he is great, like what I've seen.
Hmm.
William Villeneuve or whatever. Like, maybe he's not, but again, that's a different discussion. Okay.
Hmm.
Anything else on that? Because I have a couple thoughts for our last 20 minutes
Yeah,
here,
let's
and
go for it.
I think this is a good time to kind of just be all over the shop here.
Yeah, let's do it.
I've lost my love for McTavish. I know I was
Interesting.
in
Yeah.
your ear. I was like,
Hmm.
fucking Jordan, come on, brother. And now I'm like going back on it. I think, and I tweeted this, and I have nothing profound to say, but watching him on that Anaheim team, he
Hmm.
is so skilled with the puck. The problem is him getting the puck. And do you know who he looks like? Obviously, a worse version.
Hear it. Let me
John
hear it.
Tavares.
Okay. I
He is
think that's
a
actually pretty good comparison.
skating is not good.
Hmm.
Puck skills, fantastic. A dog down low, seemingly. Maybe not a dog, but good enough down low. But his skating on that Ducks team stood out because it was not good enough. And
Okay. Yeah.
if you're going to take a guy like that to be your second C, you cannot be giving up real assets for it
Hmm.
unless the asset you're moving is a bad one. So if you're saying to them, we are going to give you insert bad contract, we have one bad contract on this team. I'm pretty sure we know who it is, Morgan
Yeah.
Riley.
Hmm.
But I think the ceiling, this is crazy. I think I'm wrong. I think the ceiling might be higher with Pedersen. I swear to God, I
I
do.
think so too. I think
That
I'm
is an eye
also on the
test.
Pedersen train.
I've completely changed. I was in
Hmm.
your ear every time Jordan and I would like see each other, like even
Yeah.
in public at like dinners, like with buddies, be like, I'm telling you it's McTavish. And then I watched
Yeah.
one series closely and I completely flipped.
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah.
flipped.
Yeah. I think just because there's proof of concept with Pedersen, like I've seen him be on a 100-point player. Like I know what it looks like, and I know it's still in him
When
because
what it was 2 years. Let me just pull
it
it up.
wasn't that long ago. It was like as soon as he signed his contract, he fell off a cliff. Like I
And
looked at his
there's
splits.
rumors he's like not in the weight room. Like
Yeah.
I don't it might be true. I have no reason to believe that's not true. I don't know
Hmm.
this fucking guy. But
Yeah,
last year,
exactly.
25, 26, 51 points.
Like it
But if
wasn't awful,
no, the year now,
but it's
last
obviously
year,
not compared to his $11.6 million contract.
64 games last year's 24, 25. So 2 years ago, I guess,
Hmm.
24, 25, 45 points. The year before 89, the year before 102, the year
Even
before
89 I'll take.
70.
I don't even need 100. I'll take
Give
89.
me 70 points as a
Yeah.
second line center.
Yeah.
I just, if this doesn't, this is what it comes down to. If this retool does not work, it does not matter about the bad money.
Yeah, exactly.
You are going to be in the wilderness for years, especially if you're giving up unprotected picks
Hmm.
and they're high. So Pedersen's not plan one, I presume. I presume Jacob might have a different plan.
Trocheck.
Trocheck. I don't know where this
Hmm.
came from
It was
because
that. Yeah.
it was Dreger, I
It
believe,
was
but it was
Dreger.
spitballing. I don't like
Hmm.
it didn't. If Trocheck's plan one, it might be break glass in case of emergency Pedersen.
Yeah.
But it's better than fucking nothing. Like truthfully, not to be a panic move. And
No, it
again,
is. Yeah.
you're not trading value, but you're trading Riley. So
Right, right. And I think that's how the deal would have to make sense because you cannot take on Pedersen unless he's either heavily retained or they're taking back Riley.
yeah. Now the problem is when you want McDavid on your team and then you've got Pedersen on your team, it's like all of a sudden the money,
Yeah,
but
it
you
gets,
can't
but
worry about McDavid
it
now.
does go up the cap
Yeah.
every year, so maybe in a
You
year
can't
yeah,
you
you
also can't
can't.
worry about McDavid because
Mm.
that he might not come. Like
Hmm.
hopefully he does, but he might not. And
Yeah.
in that like you can't be preparing for a guy 2 years from now. Because in those intervening years, lad reliving, as my friends call him, uh, you have no first round pick. Like
Right,
so you
right.
have no protected high pick. So
Hmm.
that is part of my problem. Now, this is a bit of an aside, but my brain is like all mushed this morning on this long weekend because we were talking yesterday about this, a couple of buddies of and mine, and
Hmm.
there was an argument early on that Pedersen not was going to be generational. But do you remember some of those early highlights of him absolutely ripping the puck? Just
Yeah, yep.
do you remember like
He
and he
has
would
a
always
ridiculous shot.
and all of his like highlights from Europe in like that 2015 era was him just scoring the craziest goals you've ever seen in your
Hmm.
life. And there was an argument that there was people saying he was better than Matthews. He obviously never was. But that was out there that like, oh, he's the next guy. Like he's the
Yeah,
next guy.
yeah, yeah.
This is the question. And I think we're going to disagree because I disagreed with people asked this question too. I'm giving you no parameters.
Hmm.
Since, let's say, 2005, who would you consider a generational player? Generational.
Generational. Okay.
Generational. Not elite, not a superstar. Because we can have that discussion afterwards.
Okay.
Generational.
So it's obviously Crosby and McDavid. I think they're the free squares.
Okay.
I would put.
Can I wait, let me stop you. I have
Mhm.
one other player on my list besides those two.
So you have three players, only
Yep.
three.
And this is where people disagreed with me, but
Oh,
continue.
Ovechkin. I forgot about him.
I did not have Ovechkin on my list.
Really?
Uh-huh.
The greatest goal scorer of all time. You don't have him on your list?
He is a generational goal scorer.
I think that's not awful. Like I think I've heard
I
worse.
got yelled at for this take,
Yeah.
and it's probably wrong. Like, I'm not unwilling to be like, when
Mhm.
someone's like, you're a fucking idiot. I'm like, yes, but am I wrong though?
Yeah.
Who else you adding?
Crosby and McDavid. I'm trying to let me pull up some players because I feel like I'm blanking on a lot of guys right now because my brain is not working. But I would
I'm
definitely say if you want to tell me your
let me
player
vamp, and
first,
I'll give you my defense. As things stand, my generational players are Crosby, McDavid, and this one I think might be a stretch because it's early. I think Kale McCarr.
honestly, yeah.
I don't think anyone else can be called generational. And it's not that like McKinnon isn't potentially an all-time great. I don't think he will be, but
Hmm.
same thing with Ovechkin. It's to me, I'm like a small Hall of Fame guy as well, where
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're letting in bozos and jabronis at this point.
Yeah, it's not Hall of Fame, but pretty good.
It's so to me, like generational means you are the archetype of what a player should be. And to
Hmm.
me, Cale Makar, I know his playoffs have been weird because he's looked great, but he's been hurt. Those three guys are like the epitome of what a unicorn looks like
Yeah. Yeah,
in
I
this
don't
era.
think anyone will ever.
Yeah.
Maybe someone will, but he's like he skates like the wind. He scores 30 goals. Like I don't think
Yeah.
anyone
So
can top
people
that.
like the discussions I've heard is Ovechkin's got to be on that list. I've heard Kucherov's got to be on that list. Uh,
No,
what else have
Kucherov
I
is
heard?
not on that list.
I've this is the discussion. I've heard
Hmm.
Draisaitl needs to be on that list, and like Matthews isn't on that list, and I think Matthews might go down as the best American. He'll be the best American player of all time.
Yeah.
He will be the second best goal scorer of all time. He's not even
Mhm.
sniffing the list of generational. Now, you want to get to superstar, then our list expands. But who else do you add to that list of Crosby, McDavid?
I would put Ovechkin. I don't
Okay.
think you can leave off the greatest goal scorer in NHL history.
I'm gonna get
Yeah.
hate in the on Twitter.
I
People are
think
gonna start
Makar is
swearing at
honestly
me.
a really good pull. I'm trying to find where he ranks. So he's third all time in points per game among defensemen. It's only behind Bobby Orr and Paul Coffey. So, I mean, you're talking about the greatest of the greats. And I don't think Makar skates like the wind. He scores 30 goals and,
Def
everyone and he's
High
a good
leverage
defenseman.
defense.
Hmm.
He's the best defender in Canada. Like he is
Yeah.
playing PK, PP.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's a good
Yeah.
next time you're with a group of
That's
buddies,
a good
ask this
pull.
question,
Hmm.
but do not preface it with any stipulations on what
Hmm.
generational means. Because
Yeah.
I ask this, like I'm watching Game 7 with my brother and a buddy tonight, and I'm gonna ask this question, and I guarantee you I'm gonna get like a crazy response. Because
Yeah.
as soon as you say generational, like some people would say Matthews is generational, and like I don't
I
agree.
don't think so.
I think he's a superstar at his prime.
I think he was on the path, but the injuries
Now
and
he gets
Berube
60 goals this
hockey.
year, 55 the following year,
Hmm.
55 the following year, 57 the following year, which he's not going to. That's aging curves. But
Yeah.
then you might say, "Hey, Mike, actually,"
Yeah, he
I'd be
needs
like,
to
"All
get
right."
back on like that 60 goal, 55
Yeah,
goal consistent pace, and then we can have a discussion about him.
that's a good question. Right? So
Yeah.
what is your next tier? Because let's go back to something, Jordan. I'm like all over the place. Apologies,
Hmm.
but this is my gripe, and I have a very I had a buddy like we're not as close anymore, but like we're still buddies who's diehard Sens fan,
Hmm.
and he had a buddy who was a Habs fan, so we were in the same circle. And every single year there was a new better than Matthews. It was like
Oh my
Pettersson
God, they love
better than
that.
Matthews. Then there was Line. better than Matthews. What was the other ones? There was like a couple other teams where it's like this guy better than Matthews and
Draisaitl.
Dreisaitl's great,
Hmm.
but like I'd still maybe the last two seasons take it out because of
Yeah.
Berube, but have Draisaitl play under Berube. See how well he
Yeah,
does. Or
exactly.
every Kachuk, I'd rather have him than Matthews.
Hmm.
All the like all these guys saying this is better than Matthews,
Hmm.
and the question is, I remember for a while it was Suzuki rather have him than Matthews, and like that's just not true. Like it is just not
Barkov.
true. Barkov,
Yeah.
there's a discussion based on career winning, like
Hmm.
winning, but I don't think he's better than Matthews. Like I
No,
just
I
don't.
don't think so either. Yeah.
I don't think that's a crazy hot take.
Hmm.
So the question is like who's generational? Like that's why I have this in my brain is like for a while Sens fan, this guy was like, oh, like I think I'd rather have Stützle than Matthews. And it's
That's
like
ridiculous.
that's but again, that's what a fan does. Like you're
Yeah.
but at the time, like, are you actually don't know how good this guy is? Like
Yeah.
you
They don't know
actually don't
puck.
get it.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the Olympics, Matthews, and every American's like, actually, I haven't seen him on best like this. Like he's just all
Hmm.
over. He's a demon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that. So
Yeah.
that's like my question with generational. Like I would like Matthews to be in that,
Hmm.
and I don't think he's ever going to get there, unfortunately, especially because Brew
Yeah.
like nuked two of his seasons. But
Yeah.
that's my generational. Trying to think, what about Quinn Hughes?
I don't think so. I think like you can't he's to me he's not in the same tier as Makar, so then he can't be in the same tier as generational. Like there was a clip going around from who did they play last round? Was it the Avalanche? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was when McKinnon tied the game in game five, and he had that ridiculous snipe. The to end it was like close to the end of the third period, and
yeah.
it wasn't Quinn Hughes on the ice. It was Jake Middleton. So people were saying, you know, you get Quinn Hughes, you trade for Quinn Hughes to play all the minutes, and he's not on the ice when you need to ice it when you need to ice the lead and control the lead. So that kind of speaks to his skill set and that he's not the all-around defenseman.
I said they'd lose in five to Dallas. I was obviously very wrong.
Hmm.
And the reason I said they would lose in five is they have no center depth.
Yeah, which is true. They lost
They
Eriksson
lost in
Ek,
five,
and
then they
that
just
crumbled their whole team.
they they were not in that series.
Hmm. It's true.
That game five was shambolic from them.
It's
They
true.
scored three goals and turned into the 2014 Leafs. Like
Yeah, yeah.
just absolute lack of hockey
Right,
playability.
right.
Okay, we've got like five-ish minutes left here. Is there
Hmm.
anything? I think we should kind of. I've been all over the place. I'm going to apologize
Hmm.
behind the scenes. I didn't have time this weekend. Girlfriend was in town from out of town, so it was a hectic weekend.
Hmm.
So I didn't have time to do an outline, so it's been a bit all over. But what I want to say is, what are you expecting this next week? Because I have next week's show
Yeah.
I'm still doing, and then I'm taking 3 weeks off to travel.
Hmm.
So we've got next week. But what is your prediction for next week? What does this next week look like in Leafland, and what do you want
Yeah.
to see?
I'm curious to see what happens if you want to touch on it for the last few minutes, but I'm curious to see what happens now that there's more front office, you know, firings, like with I don't know if you
Oh,
want
we
to
didn't
call
even
it a
talk about
firing.
Pridham.
Yeah, I feel like we if you want to touch on Pridham for like a couple of minutes here because he is a pretty notable loss, and I'm curious to see what the Leafs do now that they have the spot open on their management team for him. Just because there was so much rumors with Chase Glasberg, which I can get to in a second, but I do have a bit of mixed feelings on Pridham leaving because I know we touched on this offline a bit before you started recording, but he's very clearly a smart man, and I think that in terms of cap experts, he's definitely one of the best in the league.
Undisputed. He
Yeah,
might be
like
the best.
yeah, and there was a Cervelli report from last offseason that Pridham is supposedly the highest paid non-GM in the league.
Wow.
So, or one of the highest. I think he wrote that he was the highest. So, in terms of how the Leafs value Pridham, he's very clearly their guy.
Did
And
he
he'll
leave out of his own accord? Is that the implication?
so it's hard to know. I think from based on what I listened to on 32 Thoughts this morning that it was kind of like both sides felt that it was time for Pridham, but if he wanted to stay, the Leafs were interested in keeping him. So I think it's like Pridham said, you know what? it's my time, like let me go. And then the Leafs were like, yeah, you're kind of right. Let's
Someone
go.
tweeted like it probably in Pittsburgh he'll end up.
Yeah, exactly. Like going to Dubas, maybe because now Dubas becomes the president, Pridham becomes GM. Who knows?
Yeah, especially because now
Whatever.
they're going to rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what it means? But the other thing that Friedman brought up on 32 Thoughts was that Pridham interviewed for the GM position and it didn't go well. So, maybe it was just like Chayka and him don't align on vision, or Pridham and Pelley don't align on vision, whatever it may be. I just don't know if Pridham has it in him to take that next step and be a GM. So if it's not going to be in Toronto, then let him go and do it somewhere else.
Look, sad to lose him. I said this.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter how good you are at the cap. Like a good team, a capologist does not make. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like it's helpful, but the cap is now going up.
Right.
They don't have any more, hopefully, knock on the biggest piece of wood you can find in your office,
Hmm.
any more global pandemics.
Yeah, exactly.
So that hopefully they're not going to need to be navigating to the sense. I'm
Hmm.
sad to lose them. I love
Right. Me too. Me
qualified
too.
people. I love people who are great at their job working for my team. I'm not happy that he's gone. I hope Chayka has a fucking plan to replace him because if
Right.
his plan is hope for the best, like, oh, buddy, you're in trouble
Right.
because
Right.
you are going to need experts to help deal with the next few years, and
Yeah.
every good voice in the room is helpful. Now, you might say
Yeah.
Pridham's from a couple organizations ago or regimes ago, and then I'm willing to listen to that. But I'm sad to see him go because, by
Hmm.
all accounts, he was a passion haver.
Yeah, and like to be honest, they didn't really win anything in 12 years, so who knows how much, he
Yeah,
actually improved the team. And I saw someone point this out on Twitter, but yes, he was the preeminent cap expert when he was hired, but the CBA and the cap have changed a lot since he left Central Registry to join the Leafs. So maybe he isn't as well versed in the 2026 version of the CBA and the cap regulations as he was when he first
yeah.
joined the team. So I think there's merit in that.
Also, I was a big guy
Mhm.
of shrink the front office, and now I can't
Yeah.
then complain when they begin shrinking the front office.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can't, I can't,
Mhm.
I can't speak out of both sides of my mouth.
Yeah.
So again, like I don't know if this is going to sink the team or
Hmm.
elevate the team, but it changes the team, and it sucks to see a
Yeah.
guy who, again, I think it was Steve Dangle who told the story where he's like got hit by a car while he was riding his
Yeah,
bike or
exactly. And he's
something.
like celebrating when the Leafs beat
Yeah, so
Tampa,
like
like with a broken arm.
same with like Berube. Like I'm not happy people lose their jobs.
Hmm.
Obviously, that's awful, but my loyalty is not to people, it's to the crest
Yeah.
as a good
Yeah.
Canadian boy here. But
Hmm.
I think that's my thoughts on Pridham. I'll say my prediction for the next week. I think the rumors of potential moves grow insofar as Chayka, in addition to looking for coaches, is going to begin gauging the market on certain guys. And I think with no evidence, this is purely pulling this out of nowhere. We start hearing rumors of, okay, Riley for this guy, or we start hearing
Yeah.
rumors of the
Hmm.
Leafs are looking at XYZ. I think
Hmm.
that begins to get out there partially because it's true and partially because you've got insiders who no longer have someone in the organization.
Right.
Free
Right.
Living had a leaky ship. Oh, we didn't
He
talk about
did.
this, but on text, the first thing I said when you texted me that they fired Berube, I think it was on my way to a haircut. So I couldn't even check Twitter for like an hour.
Hmm.
That no insider had it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
you
that is
did.
positive.
Yeah. It was completely out of the blue.
That's
Nobody had
very,
it.
very positive. So I'm
Hmm.
thinking we're going to get some speculation, some rumors, and that's where I think relying on people with a good track record is going to be important
Hmm.
this next couple weeks because I think you're going to get Frank Saravalli saying just nonsense.
Yeah, just some like
You're going to
ridiculous shit.
Yeah, so that's my prediction for this week. I'm hoping,
Yeah.
I think the sooner they have a coach, the better. I'm not going to lie to you. I do. I think having a coach in place is probably a good idea. I don't see why you need to wait for other teams to begin hiring
Me
to
too.
go
Hmm.
get your guy. Go get Woodcroft.
Yeah. I think for this week, I think I'll be very interested to see what happens with Chase Glasberg, just because we touched on this in episode 4,
Yeah,
and he has a connection to Chayka, and they were both Ivy grads, but they weren't in the same class. I think Glasberg was in 2020. He graduated Ivy. So,
young guy.
yeah, so he's a very young guy. But so Chase Glasberg, who's the son of Neil Glasberg, as we mentioned before, but he's Utah's. Um, He's Utah's manager of salary cap and hockey strategy. So he seems like the next guy to come into the Leafs and manage their cap. I don't know if it's going to be an AGM role or a director of cap management type role, but he feels like the next guy. There's already rumors of Chayka pursuing him, but he is someone I'm going to watch. And I think it's interesting because he has a different background to Pridham because Glasberg actually started in the NHL as a data analyst with the Arizona Coyotes, but this was after Chayka left. But he had started with the Arizona Coyotes as a data analyst
Interesting.
and then moved into salary cap and analytics. So he's a bit of a different mind than Pridham, which I think is cool.
Yeah, I listen, anyone who can make this team better and
Hmm.
help this team, I'm happy. I'm happy to never hear from Keith Pelley again, as you said off the top.
Yeah.
He might be good at business, Keith Pelley. He might. I have no insight. But if he is, stay there. I don't need you dealing with my hockey
Yeah,
team.
exactly.
I'm hoping. I think we'll end with this.
Hmm.
I am weirdly hopeful. I wouldn't call myself a optimistic person by nature. I love to be optimistic. I very frequently am,
Hmm.
but the offseason so far has been optimistic to me. They have not done anything so far that's made me upset. Now, we'll see. Chayka might be the wrong guy, but as of yet, he has hit all the right notes.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I got for this time.
Yeah.
How about you? Closing
I think
thoughts?
I don't know. Let's see. I'm positive with how the direction of the team is going, but let's see some more stuff. I'm like anticipating more stuff and I'm ready to explode.
Yeah, I'm ready for some
Yeah.
actual moves.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, that was over an hour. I feel like we hit a lot of things as always.
Hmm.
Nice chatting, Jordan.
Yeah,
Any
of
thoughts or
course.
questions? People put them in the comments. But otherwise, I'll see you next week.
Yep. We'll see
Thanks
you.
for tuning into the Leafs Lab.